Hey YouTube, how are you? Welcome to the video. In today's video, we're going to be exploring some interesting topics relating to the world of trading and gambling, risk-taking in general. I want to talk about why traders are prone to gambling behavior and why are humans prone to this behavior in general, okay? So this contributes to the reason why the majority of people can't do trading and be consistent. For the same reason they can't be professional gamblers and be consistent, because it's the same thing. The things I'm going to talk about in this video are going to be relatively subjective to my own experiences in the trading world. I've been trading for 2 years non-stop at this point, and I've learned a lot about myself in these 2 years. I've learned a lot about trading and how it affects people and this whole design known as the stock market and this and that. Why are humans horrible at gambling? There's a number of things that play into it. The way I'm going to discuss it in this video is going to be largely relating to my own experiences. What are the reasons why I suck at trading? They might be the same reasons why you suck at trading, so let's talk about it. What can drive a person to engage in gambling behavior? In this video, I'm going to point out a few of the things I've made myself aware of that are helping my overall ability to be a good risk manager. Alright guys, before we get started, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's get to this. Let's talk about this here. Why do traders remove their stops? Alright, so the first one, that you think you don't need a stop. You don't need a stop loss for every style of trading. But if you engage in trades where you are making a directional bet of any kind, if you're trading any kind of option with an expiry date that is approaching, whether you're on the sell side or the buy side of that option position, you are in fact placing a bet. And when you place a bet, you need to know where your outs are. Before you get into the bet, you need to know the approximate location or the definite location of where you're going to be absolutely, most probably wrong on the trade. And this is why I don't understand people when they say, oh, I don't use stop losses, I don't need that. But I want to make a generalization here and say that every time you make a bet in the market, there's going to be a place that you know that you're probably wrong on the trade, and you should probably not be in that trade anymore because you're probably wrong. When you execute a trade, you have an idea for that trade, then you execute it because you believe that there is a higher probability of one thing happening over another. As time goes on and the market generates new information, there is a chance that the trade you're in could be the wrong one. So you need to know very well at what point or what approximate point you're going to be pretty much wrong on the trade, and you will be forced to either manage or hedge the trade or exit the trade for a loss, the cost of doing business. So that's how I view stop losses. If you convince yourself at some point that you think you don't need a stop or an out on your bet, then what has happened is you've entered a very dark place. This place is where addicted gamblers go. All right, so this is a gambler's fallacy. Let's say you're on a losing streak, maybe 3-4 trades in a row of losers. You are now convinced that the next one has a higher probability of being a winner because the last 3 were losers. This is the gambler's fallacy. When you are in these situations of being exposed to a losing position or many losing trades in a row, you are exposed to the gambler's fallacy and the fourfold pattern, which we will talk about in a second here. And you're exposed to this discretionary gray zone area where part of you is sitting there trying to convince yourself that you don't need a stop on the next trade because it has a higher probability, almost a 100% chance of being a winner. That is a very dangerous place. This is one of the reasons why traders fail to manage their risk. And let me tell you, it always happens when traders are doing poorly on a given day. Let's move on and talk about the fourfold pattern real quick. It's a pattern that was come up with by Daniel Kahneman in his book Thinking Fast and Slow, and it's just a basic human tendency. I want to talk specifically about when we're exposed to a losing position. So when you're in a losing position or a loss, in an unfavorable position of any kind, you're getting tapped into everything it means to be wrong in your life and everything it means to lose money in your life. You might not be thinking about that when you're trading, but if you don't acknowledge the fact that after you've hit your limit, there is something wrong and it's not your day and you should stop, then you're going into this very dangerous place that I keep talking about. It's when you end up in discretionary land. I don't need to stop. I'm careless. I don't need to stop. So right here, we have when there is a high probability of a loss, let's say you're in a losing trade, we tend to be more risk taking because you will do anything to recoup that loss. So that's a human tendency. I'm not sure if I'm able to explain it in a very clear way. When humans are in a position of losing something, we tend to be more risk taking instead of risk averse. And the opposite is true for when you're in a winning position. So oftentimes you've probably felt this, you're having a great day and you would prefer to stop because you're up on the day and you just want to take your money and run. Whereas in reality, if you're doing well, you should probably sit there and continue because you clearly understand, you're reading it correctly, and there's no reason that you should be stopping just because you're up. In the case of a losing situation, you're more inclined to sit there and dig yourself out of the hole and take more risk when you're underwater, where there needs to be some guideline in place that will stop you from going into this territory and basically blowing up your entire boat. All right, so this is the fourfold pattern, and basically this applies to human nature. This is in human nature right here. Humans are more emotionally affected by losses than by gains. That's why we need to be more conscious of ourselves when we are in losing positions. All right, I'm gonna cut it for there. All right, guys, the next point I want to make, another reason I've determined that has been making my trading performance slightly worse, it is something I have acknowledged recently, and that is having an imbalance in your everyday life or work routine, including your quality of life. Imbalance. What is balance? What is imbalance? Again, this is going to be relative to your situation. What I'm saying here might not be relatable to you, but I will say that from my own experience, trading needs to fit in to your everyday life schedule in a way where it is well balanced with everything else that you do. This is going to depend, because if you're an experienced trader and you know your edge and you have your capital to risk, then you can pretty much sit there all day, be banging out trades from the start of the morning till the afternoon. In the case of a new trader or a person who has a few other things on their plate and requires them to be attentive in other domains, you need to have some sort of balance in your life. Now, I think this might apply to the majority of people that have other things going on in their life. The basic idea is that trading needs to fit into a place in your life where it's balanced with everything else. You cannot be sacrificing your quality of life. And I guarantee you, when you found a balance where you know what trading is, you know what the purpose is of what you're doing when you approach the markets, and when you do it and when you don't do it, and basically how it fits into the grand scheme of your life and the other activities you're engaged in, then it seems like you're on the right path to being consistent. I'll give you a brief explanation of my situation. I'm the type of person that when I get into something, I get in very aggressively, meaning that when I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I don't see a reason to stop. Which means that if I want to make YouTube video after YouTube video and just pretty much become obsessed and addicted to making videos and trading, then I will do that, because that is what I'm focusing on. I'm going 100% balls deep into that thing that I'm doing. That's just the way I'm programmed, and I was programmed like that from a young age because I did that with music for 13 years. Now I realize that that has been hindering my trading performance, and that trading needs to fit in to a more balanced place in my overall schedule. I'm making the active choice to trade only during specific hours of the day, and when I'm clicking that mouse button, I know the risks I'm taking, and my stops will never be taken away, because I know that if I take them away, I'm entering that discretionary zone where I'm trying to convince myself that I know what's going to happen next. So I'll conclude this section by saying that having a healthy balance in your life of all of the things that you do, let it be your work life, your personal activities, family, everything that you engage in your life, everything you spend your time doing, your trading performance will probably benefit from you being more conscious about the balance of all the activities you engage in on a weekly basis, your overall schedule, and your quality of life. Cool. Okay, so I want to just make a quick point here about noise. One of the reasons why traders suffer to be consistent is because we are in a time where noise is at an all-time high. When you become aware that the majority of things you read on the internet or watch on the news is largely a bunch of noise, and it is not contributing to your positive performance in whatever you're engaging in, especially involving risky activities, once you acknowledge that, you're going to realize that a lot of what you're exposed to is noise, and it's not helping your performance. So that's one thing you need to always remain conscious of on a daily basis, is that the system by design is there to throw out a bunch of noise at you, all right? So if you're the kind of person that's looking at CNBC and trying to figure out why you're offside on a trade, you're looking in the wrong place, my friend. All right, so this is basically the question I'm trying to explore in this video, and I'm not really sure if I was able to dig deep enough because I am still relatively new to understanding a lot of these things myself. I do think that making a video talking about it is somewhat strengthening my awareness to some of these things. Doesn't mean that I'm going to apply them. One thing I will say to you guys, whoever you are watching this video, is that if this video is helping you to understand or realize certain things that you were not aware of prior to this, then leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts about it. Okay, so by the way, just one last note on noise and distractions. Being a YouTube content creator, I'm going to make the argument right now that being a YouTube content creator does not help your performance as a trader. In fact, it might hinder it if you allow it to. You don't have to do anything in life, but generally you look at comments from viewers. I'm just going to make a point there. I'm not going to dig deep on that point, but I'm going to say that being a YouTube content creator does not contribute to your positive performance as a trader. It might actually be hindering it. This is an interesting little thing. Let's just read this real quick. So why do gambling tendencies come naturally? This is the question we're trying to answer here. In a society where everything is given to us, we expect stuff when we put in the effort, causing a slight illusion that the market owes you something, contributing to those situations where you engage in gambling activity. So anytime there's a slight illusion of control that can be created based on an idea you have about the world, or an idea you have about yourself, or any kind of idea that you're holding inside of you, even on a very slight subconscious level, that idea is contributing to you giving in to these natural gamblers' tendencies that we are all exposed to. It's human nature to have a hard time admitting when you're wrong, especially when in a painful position. All right, guys, so in this video, I've shared with you some of the things that I think contribute to my own negative performance as a trader, and things that once you start to hold a slight awareness to could change the way you approach the markets on a daily basis. All of this stuff is open to discussion, and all of this content is for educational purposes entirely. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.